But you did allude to something when you were talking to us last week, which is why I've come back in again today, which links in with what we were just talking to Chris and Linda about there, because they were just saying how part of their, I suppose, part of what they're doing this year with the Deep South Music Festival is promoting mental health awareness and mental health charities as a result of some very sort of personal experiences that Chris's daughter has had and family have had and friends have had. And you mentioned last week when you were with us a new initiative that is being pushed out across venues on the island. So I have a beer mat in my hand which says, "Start a conversation. Tell me about it."
Well, it's quite amazing the interlinks and how things happen on the Isle of Man, because Start a Conversation came from exactly the same place as Chris's idea for mental health awareness on the Isle of Man.
Mm-hmm.
And this came from the same person's unfortunate suicide. And the musicians of the island came to me and said, we need to do something to raise awareness. Lots of them came, and one particular musician who was very affected by the same events said, we need something for lads in particular who aren't going to read posters, are not going to look up online and all of this sort of thing, who are struggling or need a bit of help.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if I had a beer mat, which had a couple of numbers in that I could sneakily put in my pocket when I was in the pub, then that'd be a good idea. So I said, well, beer mats, we can do that. And I went to the whole of the licensing community on the Isle of Man and said, look, we've got an issue. This is a way of helping resolve the issue. We're community hubs. This is where people have to come to meet or are often around. If we put some help into it and get these beer mats printed up and out into every pub in the Isle of Man, hopefully everybody's seen them in the local now. They should have them now. And then it will give a little bit of help. And then that sort of spiraled into, right, now on top of the beer mats, we're going to have a whole range of musical events throughout the year, interlinking with Chris's, and build up to a final massive gala event in the Villa Marina in November.
That is fantastic. So can you tell us much about the gala event yet, or is it still sort of being put together
I
as
might
we
be able
speak?
to sneak out the headline if you really push on me. But I'm not
Yes.
sure. I might need to check that.
All right, you check.
But there's going to be 4 to 5 of the island's biggest and brightest bands.
Fantastic.
I will tell you this one: the winner of band battle will be included in that lineup.
Fantastic!
As this
That's
year's
a good
greatest
one.
band.
Yeah.
And there's a really, really big local band to headline it at the end.
Amazing. Well, keep us posted on that. This does sound like an absolutely brilliant initiative. And someone who can tell us a little bit more about the importance of this is Sarah Christian, who's Assistant Treasurer of the Ballamona Association. Sarah, thank you for being with us this evening. I know you've come straight from work, dashed up here through the storm and everything. So just what Andy was saying there about the fact it's something that I know we've talked about this quite a bit on Manx Radio over the past couple of years, the fact that it seems more difficult for men to be able to open up about things, which is, I think, partly what this has been inspired by. Do we know why that is, and do we know what we can really do about this?
Blimey, that's a hard question. I thought she was going to ask me what our charity does. Yeah, I think it is traditionally more difficult for men. It's the whole sort of stiff upper lip thing, isn't it? And girls do tend to sort of chat more to their friends. And there definitely is still a stigma attached to mental health problems. And people do often struggle alone, and it seems to be guys that do that. It's also there's a high prevalence of sort of depression in rural areas. Sometimes farmers can be very isolated. That kind of thing does affect the Isle of Man, and we're such a small place here too that things don't go unnoticed, and if something goes wrong in your life, it can be quite catastrophic when you live in such a small place as this. And I think that's probably why people struggle to talk about things, because everyone knows everybody else, don't they?
That's so
and
true.
And in some ways, living in such a tight-knit community has a good side, but I think sometimes it has a darker side too.
But that's why something like this initiative, this, sort of getting these beer mats, it seems like such a simple thing. And yet you could genuinely reach someone with something like this in that environment.
Yeah. I think it's about being open to start, like, as you say, starting the conversation and to not be embarrassed, to let other people know if you're struggling a bit. And also, you know, you keep an eye out for your friends, and if you think anybody's, you know, needs to have that chat, then that's a great way of maybe getting someone some help, because there is a lot of help out there. It's just people don't always want to access it.
That's so true. And speaking of accessing it, you are here from Ballamona Association, which is one of the charities that is linked in with everything we're talking about. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what you do then.
Well, I'll tell you a bit about my background and why I work with the Ballamona Association. I had mental health problems myself when I was young and came into contact with mental health services, and then went on to work within mental health services. And then the opportunity arose to get involved in this charity, which is the longest established charity relating to mental health on the Isle of Man. So I've been a happy volunteer for about 10 years working with the charity. And what we do is we support mental health services in financial ways. So we raise money, and the professionals will contact us and say, I've got somebody, they're struggling a bit, they could do with a bit of, you know, they need a piece of equipment, or they need some help with some training, or it can be all kinds of things. We consider all kinds of requests. One of the things I've been busy doing is over Christmas time, we make sure that every patient who's in hospital at Christmas, whether it be on a dementia ward or be in an acute ward, they all get a Christmas present, and we make sure that happens. It's only a small thing, but as you can imagine, it's very important when you feel low and poorly.
Can I just interrupt there? Mary showed me around Manannan Court and the sensory garden that you contributed towards, and the birds and the area you can go to, just get a bit of space away from all this. And it's a lovely part for you. If you're in that neck of the woods, it's a gorgeous part of Nobles Hospital, and you can just unwind there for an hour or so. It's lovely.
And you know, all of this is a perfect example, isn't it? Everything we're talking about with regards to what you all do, with regards to what Andy and the venues are doing, with regards to what is happening with the Deep South Music Festival. Perfect example of community coming together in all these different ways to create a support network, which is just vital, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's great to be part of something like this, you know, where people are sort of getting really engaged and actually doing something, you know, instead of just sort of sitting around and complaining about, you know, the state of the health service or whatever. People actually getting off their backsides and doing something positive. It's fantastic. And
Andy, you must be really pleased by the response that you've had to this initiative.
Oh yeah, it's been being worked on the background slowly for a while. It took us a while to get the beer mats in line, exactly what they should say on them, what to make everybody happy from the charities and all of that kind of thing. But then we sort of went live the last couple of days about to the musicians and so on, and the response has been incredible. And that's what I love about the Isle of Man. That's what I'm saying. That's why we're so lucky. You're right in what you're saying. The community will be here for each other. Because while it occasionally a bad thing that everybody knows your business, it also means that when you need help, there are people around you that will be willing to help.
Absolutely.